Daniel here for Tabletop for One. Please join me at the table as I teach and play through Careless. And I thank you for joining me for this tutorial and solo playthrough of Careless, a game of life balance. Careless is designed by Jason Anarchy, and I want to just point out that the art itself is done by Cassandra Calin, who has an online internet comic that she does that features this kind of art, and this art is fantastic. Now, Jason Anarchy of Jason Anarchy Games provided me with this review copy of the game. The game is currently being fulfilled for Kickstarter. Some backers have already received it, and so it's being fulfilled right now. And if you'd like more information on it, I'll have links in my description. Now, Careless is a game of life balance where you're trying to balance between care and chores, and you are trying to set up a schedule for the day from noon until 11 p.m. with a complete balance. And so with that, let's go into setup. Now, first you need your turn tracker, and we'll just set that right here. And then you need your 3 coffees. We have the Zen Coffee, the Pop Coffee, and the Bop Coffee. Sorry, Pep Coffee and Bop Coffee. You also need your coffee token. We'll just set that aside here. And then you take the little wooden pawn here and set that to turn 1. You have 12 turns in the game. And then you'll shuffle your draw deck here, and you're going to deal out 12 cards in a 4x3 format, 4 across and 3 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4 here, just like so. And so with that, the setup is done. So let me talk about the gameplay and the rules. Now, the goal of the game is to arrange all your cards in a numerical order, with the first one being noon. It's a card that actually says noon on it. And then arranging it so it goes left to right, top to bottom, all the way to 11 o'clock. So 4 o'clock would be here, 8 o'clock would be here, 3 would be here, and 7 would be here. And of course, the ones in between. And the secondary goal of the game is to have an even amount of red cards versus green cards by the end of the game. Now, you have 12 turns to accomplish this. But on your turn, you're going to draw 2 cards from the deck. Let's show these 2 as an example here. And the thing you're going to notice on the bottom is the time. So this is a 5 o'clock one, and this is an 8 o'clock one. The 5 o'clock one, of course, we would want to place in this slot here. Because again, noon, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's where we want a 5 o'clock card. And then the 8 o'clock one we'd want to set in this spot down here where we have the noon card. The other thing to notice on the cards are the flavor text and the titles. So we have post positive comment, hang out with a friend, and gives nice little flavor text at the bottom where this one says, you're really proud of your friends and encourage them to keep being the best that they can be. Yeah, that's a great care card to use. And so on your turn, you can either use one of these cards by swapping it out with another card on the grid here, or you can choose to sip a coffee. So if you choose to swap out a card, you just take one of these cards and you swap it out. So let's say I wanted to take this one here and swap it out with this one here. Then you would discard any unused cards. And so both of these would get discarded. And the other thing to do is to sip your coffee. Now, if it's your first time sipping the coffee for the game, you'll place your marker on one of the cards on the outer edge. And so you look on the cards here. Now, on these 2 here, there is a coffee cup symbol on the bottom left corner. But most of these have cat symbols. There are a couple coffees, one here and one down here. So if I had placed this one here, then I could utilize this coffee immediately. And so what it does is it gives you a one-time power. So the Zen Coffee here, it says you are at peace, and it is much clearer how to accomplish your goals. You can swap any 2 cards in your day up to 2 times. So you can use this twice in one go. And so if I use this, I would flip this over and then I'd swap 2 cards. Let's say I wanted to swap this 1 with this 3 here. And so that the 1 is in the right place, and maybe the 12 with the 2 here. The other kind of coffee is the Pep Coffee here. The Pep Coffee lets you draw 3 cards in the next round and then substitute as many as you'd like into your day. It activates immediately if it's the final round. And this last one here is the Bop Coffee. And it says your cat hates music, leaves you alone. Optionally, discard any cards with the cat icon in your day, replacing them with the next cards from the deck. So that's really cool. And so you can use these once, and then you have to flip them over. Now on the turn structure here, on turns 5 and 9, you'll get to refill one of these coffees that you have flipped over. So keep that in mind. Now, once you've used the coffee and your coffee cup is on the board, it has to then move orthogonally adjacent from then on. So if you decide to then take a sip from your coffee on a subsequent turn, let's say I decided this turn, then I would use the coffee and then move it one space adjacent. Now, for some reason, this ends up on a card with a cat symbol, or maybe this card gets swapped out with another that has a cat symbol on it. It would knock my coffee off, and it would be set to the side until I sip my coffee again, and then I would have to start from the outer edge again. Now, using coffee is in lieu of using your cards, so you'll discard your cards and redraw for the next round. All right, we are ready to begin the game. I've drawn 2 new cards here, and here we have an 8 and a 7 o'clock. Now, I kind of need both of these in my display here. I have a 7 o'clock already in the display, and maybe I can move that later, so maybe I shouldn't take the 7. But I also have the noon one here, and I don't want to lose that one, because if I swap this 8 o'clock with this noon one, that won't be good. So maybe I should just swap this one out with the 6 o'clock here, because that's where the 7 o'clock goes anyways. So we'll swap that out, and then we'll discard these 2 cards. We'll move the turn tracker, and then we'll draw 2 new cards. And let's see what we get. We have a 4 and an 8 o'clock. Once again, we have an 8 o'clock. I guess I don't want to lose my chance on getting an 8 o'clock, so I will swap it with this noon one. I hope that wasn't a bad choice. I hope we see noon again later. But we will go ahead and discard these 2 and turn the turn marker up one space and draw 2 new cards. And we have a 10 and 11 this time. And so I don't need the 7 o'clock here. We might as well take the 11 o'clock because this is the final card of our day. So I think that's good. Now it's red, of course, and we have a lot of red. I definitely want some more greens later. I guess I could have put the 10 down here, but maybe I'll be lucky with my card draws. We'll see how that goes. And I draw 2 new cards. Sorry, meant to move the turn marker forward. Now, we are at the point where I'm a turn away from being able to refill a coffee. So maybe I should look at possibly using a coffee. And I have this one here where it lets me discard the cat cards. And so I have 1, 2, 3 cat cards. And I think that might be worth it. So instead of using these cards, I'm going to use this coffee. We'll flip this one over, and I'll end up discarding these cards. And then we will discard these 3 cat cards here. You don't have to discard them all. You can choose how many you want, but I want to discard all 3 of these, and then we'll draw them. So 1, 2, and 3. And I don't know if those were great choices. It didn't work as well as I thought it would, but we'll see how this goes. And so we move on to the next turn here. We're at turn 5. We get to flip over one of our coffees that we've used. And we're drawing 2 new cards. More reds. Wow, lots of reds. And I don't need a 6 or a 7, so is there something else I can do? I guess I can sip my coffee again and move my coffee marker over here. And I don't want to use the ability to, well, there's nothing to use, but this will get flipped over anyways. We'll discard these cards and move the turn marker and draw 2 new cards here. All right, we have a 3 and a 10. This 3 is good. It's got the right kind of coffee. And then we have a 10 o'clock. Ooh, the 10 is good too, because I want to put the 10 here. So let's swap the 10 out, and we'll place the cup back on here. Now, if there was another ability here, it would activate right away. But this time there's not, so that doesn't happen. We'll move to the next turn, drawing 2 new cards. We have a 4 and a 4. Lots of 4s. Now, 4 is supposed to go right here, but I think what I'm going to have to do is sip my coffee and go here and activate this ability. Now, this ability here, draw 3 cards, all right, for the next round. So we move the turn tracker, and I can swap any of these cards or all of them. So this is really good for me then. Because right now, I can place the 12 noon right here. So that one goes there. And then I have these other 2 cards to swap out, a 1 o'clock and a 3 o'clock. So I could swap out this one here. Yeah, let's do that. So we have the 1 o'clock and then the 3 o'clock here. Now I'm ending up with a lot of red cards. I don't think I'm going to get my bonus at the end of the game for having half and half. Although it's only 7 to 5 right now. We'll see how this goes. All right, so we move on to turn 9. We're running out of turns. We do get to refill this coffee and draw 2 new cards. We have a 9 and a 6. Ooh, check this out too. This is perfect. So this 9 here has this coffee symbol. If I swap it out with this one here, then I get to activate that coffee. And so that's what's going to happen here. And so I'll activate this one. Lets me make 2 swaps in this area here. Now, the only one I really need is this one here. And I think that's it. I just have 2 cards left to make my day here. I need a 5 o'clock and a 2 o'clock. All right, so moving on to the next turn. I've got 2 cards here. We got our 5 o'clock, perfect. We'll swap it out with this 1 o'clock here. And moving on to the next turn, let's keep going here. Draw 2 new cards, 5 and a 9. That's not gonna work out. Now I could swap this 9 with this one here to have another green, but right now we're actually evened up on the red and the green. So I don't think it's even worth it, so we'll discard those cards. Or rather, you know what? I'd rather have a sit under the tree than celebrate the holiday. I think the sit under the tree will be more relaxing. So that's my swap there. Moving on to the final turn of the game here. Oh my goodness, check it out. It's a 2 o'clock. It's a green though. It's a 2 o'clock. We'll take it. It gets us in line for the rest of the game. And that's going to end the game. So we move on to the end of the day where we do a final scoring. And final scoring is very simple. You get a point for every card that's in its correct place in the day. So we have noon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So we got 12 cards in their right spot. And then you get an additional point if you have a balance of care and chores. I do not have that balance, so I end up with 12 points, and that is my score. Now, this is actually the first time that I got all the cards right in the row, and I think the pivotal point was when I placed this card underneath this coffee, because if you do swap a card underneath like that, you activate the power. So that was very useful for me at that moment. So there we go. Now, it's not the best win. I didn't get the complete balance, but definitely looks like a good day as I read a book, write a letter, ride my bike, react to phone noise, buy groceries, sit under a tree, correct posture, have a date night, disconnect, pandemic precautions, eat too much, and then feed the cat. Sounds like a decent day. And so there you have it. That was my tutorial and solo playthrough of Careless by Jason Anarchy. I'll have links in my description if you want to check out the game. So let me know in the comments below, point out any rules errors I may have made. Please also like and subscribe to this channel if you like the content you see here. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon, I have a link in the description, and I thank everyone who has supported me thus far. And I thank you very much for joining me on Tabletop for One. Have a great night.